All right. So I'm going to go ahead and record this. So if you want to come back and reference, yeah, feel free to. So the purpose of this meeting is to go over the retail accounting and just how things are being set up and how they should be set up moving forward. So I don't know if most of you know, but for retail, there's a couple of different ways that the retail monies can be moved and accounted for. So currently in the system, it's not moving appropriately for our accounting. So what we need to do is we need to make some changes so then the accounting team can fully go into the system and be able to recognize all the different payments. So on here, let me go ahead and pull it up. There are a couple of different cases that were identified. So if there is an additional case that is not on here, definitely bring it up now so then it could be accounted for. But these are the cases that we know of for retail payment. So these are the ones that are going to be worked through the system and how they're going to be worked through. So I'm just going to go down the list of the cases and then show you how the accounting is done, just how it's set up and how it should be done. And then, if there's any questions or issues, definitely speak up so then we could get this worked out. So the first case is probably the most common. This is where we create the quote, we set it up for the customer, we send the customer the link, the customer pays us in full, and then Crest will pay the carrier less the commission amount. So I have the couple of cases right here. So on this one, and I'll just go right into edit application. So this is a license bond, and the way that it is set up should be pretty common with, how you know it to be set up. One of the biggest things, and we might want a different label for it, is bill payee. So on this page, basically what bill payee is the person who's going to ultimately collect the money for the policy. So in this case, since it's the carrier, they're ultimately going to be the ones who have the policy on their books. So that's who we're going to send the money to. Previously, I thought of it as whoever was first receiving the money, so that's incorrect. So if that's the way that the thinking is, please keep an open mind and change it to who ultimately is going to be receiving the money for the policy. So in this case, it's carrier. So for here, we match the carrier with the bill payee, or the bill payee with the carrier.
And Harrison, just for collection, that just means that we'll probably very seldom put Crest as a bill payee.
Yes, exactly. Very seldom will we put Crest as bill payee.
Who has the ability to add the carrier? So I was doing one yesterday and I didn't see the carrier in there, so I did set it at Crest when that was bound. So are we able to, who do we send that request to add a carrier that's not listed?
Go ahead and send it to me, and then I will see if about getting the underwriting team the ability to add carriers.
Okay, cool. So in the meantime, if that one was bound, I'll send you the policy number too to correct it to the other to the carrier before money comes in.
I think, since this is in test, this isn't in production yet. So, so currently what accounting is doing for the monies and the carriers, they're keeping it outside the system. So we need to start moving that into the system. That's why this kind of change needs to happen.
I thought we had the ability. I have the ability to add the carrier in the system. You just have to. We're able to do it ourselves now.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you are, but if you are, then where you would go is on your home tab. It's the other parties, service provider, and then you would just click new, and then like you're adding a customer, you would select the type. So in this case, it's carrier, and then just enter in the carrier information.
Yeah, I think we have the ability. I've done it before too.
Yep, and then once you add it, it should show up on that list, this drop-down list. So yeah, in general, the bill pay should be the carrier. There are some cases where it might be the retail broker, but yeah, in general, it should always be the carrier. And I'll see if there's a better name for that, or if we could just get rid of it entirely if we find that it's always the carrier. But yeah, just for future reference, in general, just keep it the bill pay, the carrier, if that's ultimately who the money is going to. Does anybody have any questions about this page on general setup?
Well, the one that was my issue was that typically if we're placing it through a wholesaler, the money goes through the wholesaler, so we get invoiced by like RT Specialty or Highland or whoever. So
the broker, right?
Yeah. So then, but it still requires you to put the bill payee in there, and I didn't see.
Yeah. So if
same thing you would add them to.
Yeah. So if I think you should be. Yeah. So if say Bond Exchange was the retail broker, then
like
you
RT
should be
Specialty
able
in
to.
there in Highland. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. And then I think it was through Highland, so maybe I could have missed it. Oh, I guess it is in there. Just kidding. Good to know.
Yeah, so I think any retail broker or carrier should show up under the bill payee, and if it doesn't, then let me know. So in terms of if we're going to get invoice from the broker, if that's who accounting is going to be sending the money to, then put the broker as who the bill payee is, because ultimately the bill payee is who accounting is going to be sending the check, the money that we receive to. That's who is going to end up with the money. So if we're doing it through a broker, then go ahead and set it up that way. Okay. Any other questions?
I did. I'm sorry. So just to clarify, we're putting the carrier and then the retail broker is a bond exchange, but we send the bill to the bond exchange because that's who's actually billing us.
Mm-hmm. So if the bond exchange is who's billing us, and correct me if I'm wrong, accounting, and that's who we're sending the money to, then the bill pay would be the bond exchange.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, that was for me out too.
All right. So on this next page, you should all be pretty familiar with that. The big change here is the pay bill to, and I'll go through the different cases on when this will be different. So in this case, since the customer is paying us directly the full amount, we're going to go ahead and set that to payable to Cress, and then all this rest should be pretty the same. You should be pretty familiar with that if you fill out retail. So just go on to this next page. So on here, the other big change will be these fee, SL tax fee and Crest directly, and then the net or amount to be paid to the bill pay. So in this case, since again we're customers paying in full and we're paying out to the bill payee the net amount, right? Since we're keeping our commission and fees and we're just paying the bill payee just their amount, the way you need to set it up is to make sure that the bill payee is being sent the net, right? This is the amount the bill payee will be receiving. So our total amount is this. less our own commission amount, which is this amount, and that is the amount to be paid to the bill payee. In this instance, we're not going to be paying the fees directly, and yeah, the payment will be made beforehand. So just to let everybody know, in terms of entering in these amounts, I understand it's a little bit of memorization and going back and forth process. So when we have a chance to actually look at the retail stuff and change the whole process, this will be a lot easier. But for now, you do still need to remember the amounts and just have a different sheet handy or a duplicate tab open to see the amounts that you need to enter into here. Does anybody have any questions about what this is going to be doing, or just kind of the amounts that will be sent to the bill payee? So to reiterate, we're sending the net amount of what we received to the bill payee, in this case Great American, and then once we send it, the transaction should be pretty much done, unless there's any updates or anything.
Harrison, I have a question on the previous page. So, for example, when we're entering renewals and things like that, where it says payable to, being that generally they, surety renewals, they pay us, but for say CNA who pay direct, the payable to then when we're setting up the renewals would be set to carrier, right?
Yes,
okay.
Correct. Yeah, and I'll go through that case down here. That looks like case 4, right? Where the carrier just sends the commission amount that we just create the quote. I'll go through that. When we get down there. All right. This is set up to receive the total amount from the customer, which is $663, and to send the bill payee, which is Great American, the net amount of $433. This is the way that is set up. So let's go ahead.
Quick question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So the amount expected to be received from the bill payee, we have to enter that because there could be differences, like if there's other fees that are included. So really, it's just our commission on there. So if the total includes our fees and broker fees or whatever, we just manually enter the commission from that person, from the bill payee, right?
So the amount to be received, I don't think this has been updated or makes a difference anywhere, but I'll double check. This amount should typically be the commission plus the fees amount. But in terms of Nest or Macaw, I think what they do is they just automatically do the calculations on these fields anyways. So I don't think that field really makes a difference.
Okay, cool, because I left it 0 on the one that I did.
Yeah. Yeah, just for peace of mind, if you want to go ahead and just reiterate it, I'll confirm what they use this field for, so then we could either remove it if we don't really need it, or clarify what it should do.
Cool, yeah, because it kind of seems a little bit redundant, so if we don't need it, that would be cool to get rid of it, but let me know. All right, thank
I always
you.
get an error whenever it says not to, if you leave it blank or whatnot. So
if
I
you
left it at 0 and it let me process it, so I didn't get that
you can leave it at 0, but you can't have it null, I think.
Okay. So, but that field's always going to be just our commissions and Crest fees, not all fees, right? Just Crest fees, like our broker fee or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. What we're going to keep in the in the transaction.
Yeah, that's kind of confusing too, because it says amount to be received from the bill payee, but we're not getting our fees from the bill payee, so that's kind of confusing.
Yeah,
we're just
because we're just going to keep it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I will get clarity on that.
Cool, thank you.
And then the rest of the process, it should be the same. So I'll just run through it as the customer, so then you can just verify that it looks the same. So, like with the customer, you do still need to finalize. And then go ahead and open up the link. And then go ahead and sign and do payment. Okay. It looks like the DocuSign might be. Okay. I will check it on DocuSign for retail, make sure that's not in production. Okay, so the payment is finished. Now what you should see on your end is that the payment got through, and we should have an invoice for it. This right here. And then on Great American, which should be there, is the payment for accounting to process to the carrier. Right, so we received this amount, we're going to be sending this amount to the carrier. And then the commission should also be created correctly on the AE or, the producer work with Jamie. So yeah, that is the accounting on that case, which is the pretty standard case of what I typically see. So that is the case where we receive all the money, we pay, the customer pays in full, and we pay out less the Crest commission and fees. Does anybody have any questions about this specific case? Okay. So the next case I'm going to do is a similar case. The only difference is going to be that the taxes and fees are going to be paid directly by Crest. So in this instance, same. I set it up the same. So still Great American, still a bond exchange for retail broker. Same amounts. The only thing that I added was the SL fee and the stamping fee. Right. So yeah, still paid to Crest. So still paying us directly the full amount. And so the big thing here is just the way that this one's set up. So we have this amount right here. That's the total. And this is the, so to pay the total stamping fee or the Crest directly, you just select this as yes and leave everything else the same. We're paying net to the carrier, and paying the policy issuance or whatever. So does anybody have any questions about how this is set up? Hello? Just check network. That should still be connected. Hello? So it seems like Chaudy is having issues. Is anybody else having issues?
Yeah, it sounds like you're cutting in and
for
out.
a second. Yeah,
Right.
sorry, I was on mute too. So yeah, sorry. I think you were cut out, but I can hear you now.
Okay. So, yeah, just going back, this is how we would set up the fees. So the stamping fee and the SL tax will be paid directly by Cress. Yeah, so this is just how you would make it so then they're paid. So the only change from the previous would be to mark this as yes. And then you'd go through the same process of getting that paid.
So Harrison, I just wanted on the SL fees things because they may charge the SL fee, but this is just more for the accounting side, so that's saying that they need to separate those fees, or not necessarily that we, Crest, are responsible for those fees, right?
Well, to be honest, I don't know retail, so I'm not sure what determines this. If this is yes or no. Yeah.
So we don't actually pay them ourselves. This does go to our wholesale brokers or carriers that we're writing through. I don't. There's only been one situation I've known of that we have actually paid this on our own, and it was like a general liability policy for a military. And this was like years and years ago. But other than that, we use the field. I've always put no there because we don't actually pay those taxes ourselves.
Okay, so typically we don't pay these ourselves. Okay, so yeah, these are probably rare occurrences then. Yeah, for Jamie, yeah, it looks like for Jamie, we do pay these fees, so that's where we'll use them. Okay, which is fine. This is just a kind of niche thing. So in general, you'll probably put no, but if there are cases where we do need to pay them directly, just put yes in the grand scheme, and then make sure that that this is yes, and that the amount to be paid to the bill payee. This is still, you'll notice, the same amount as was previously. There, even without the fees, so I didn't include it into my amount to be paid to the bill payee because we're not going to be paying them those fees, and we won't be receiving them for commission either. So I just those fees or taxes aren't factored into those amounts. So yeah, that's why you'll notice that it'll be the same amount once I show you the amount to be paid to the carrier. So for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and mark this as not required, and just go ahead and pay it this way, so it's quicker. So same total amount, or the total amount that we put into the gross to be collected. Because we're collecting everything. It's just where we're setting the money, right? So now that that's paid, we'll check on Great American again, and there's that additional policy, right? And then for the actual SL fees and taxes, where that's going to be, and I'm pretty sure accounting can access this, and this is for accounting, is in the service provider. There's going to be a government agency service provider. It's just a general type of name. We could go ahead and change it as we want, but that's government agency, and then you would just same deal. You'd go down, and I think Yeah, there's one from earlier that I did. But once the policy number is actually there, it'll show the policy number. I'll see if I can get the quote ID in here so that you could actually search by quote ID. But for accounting, yeah, this is the record of the additional taxes that were added. And yeah, so then accounting would then go ahead and mark these and pay them out as they do normally. Are there any questions about how to get the taxes and fees paid by CRES and how to get that payment out? Okay, so we took care of this first one, so let's go ahead and do this. Does anybody have any questions about this case where we receive the full amount and we'll pay out less the commission? Okay, so let's go to this second case. So in this case, what happens is, same deal, we set up the quote, the customer pays in full, but what actually happens is then CRES goes and pays the carrier the full amount, and then the carrier will send back the commission amount. So in these cases, I've heard, I think it's mainly workers' comp, and yeah, some other line that mainly does this. So yeah, this is the way that you'd be able to set that up. So let's go to the next example. Just go ahead and close these. I think this is it. Let me see. Okay. Felicia, can you hear me? We should be on the edit retail screen. Looks like I hit the share. There we go. Hold on one second. It's not letting me share my screen. Let me go ahead and pause the recording, and I will come out and come back in. Oh, there it goes.